Let's give this a few minutes to let people file in. How are you guys doing today? Let's give this a few minutes to let people file in. I know it's been a minute for all y'all, but I'm trying to do this as much as I can, but I'm back to a normal job, so I can't really stream like I was there for a minute. So I will try to do it, but my job kind of leaves it so I don't have a lot of energy when I get off work. So it is what it is. Let's adjust this. Just there we go. There we go. How you doing, Sam? You like gloves? Well, I have a bunch of different kind of gloves. It depends on the job. Like if I'm doing gloves for like if I'm using a grinder, I'm gonna use like fireproof gloves that make it so I don't get burnt. And if you're new here and have not been to one of my live streams, feel free to comment in the chat because I definitely answer them on stream usually. Today, because I haven't sat there and watched this one in a very long time, we're watching Hidden History together. Should be fun. Let's get at least a few people started in here. And like I've been busy with my new job, the new clinic that I'm working at for the last few weeks, and I haven't had any energy to do this. So I'm here. What kind of gloves do you have, Sam? I should really adjust the size of that little screen. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. There it goes. All right. Well, I have some latex gloves for when I'm doing like art projects and stuff or working with chemicals. I have gardening gloves, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not really a glove aficionado. All right. How about we start this and see who shows up. I want to give it a couple minutes just so we can see who all's actually going to be here, because I was really enjoying doing this before. That's cool. I that's not really something I do. I mainly just like sitting here watching Bashar stuff and watching it with people and discussing it. Uh, not really here to play into anyone's fetishes, just here to watch Bashar with people. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and start this just to, yeah.
First and foremost, understand that many Atlanteans, thousands of years ago, still had quite a lot of Anunnaki genetics, Anunnaki blood, so to speak. A lot of strong lineages were maintained and preserved in the kingships, the priesthood, and many higher levels of officials and council members and artisans. Even though many of these beings
How is the sound?
did not survive, many did. Many knew by looking at the comet that had appeared in the sky for months before the comet struck the Atlantic Ocean, creating a tsunami that was the final deluge that washed over the Atlantean islands, wiping out that civilization in the last of 3 different destructions that occurred over thousands of years to the Atlantean landmasses. Many people in seeing that comet knew that their time was limited, and many people left and traveled to North, Central, and South America, to what became Europe, the Mediterranean, and North Africa, and even into the Middle East. These Atlanteans that survived, that had a lot of the lineage of the Anunnaki, a lot of the blue blood, also, again, some of them quite tall, 7 feet, 8 feet was not unusual, because again, they had a lot of Anunnaki genetics who were themselves quite tall.
And we all have that kind of genetics in our background. They're part of our history.
And blue-skinned in terms of the tint that their blood gave them. Being the idea of copper-based to some degree, hemocyanin, just as many creatures in the ocean these days on your planet have blue blood. A lot of the early Atlanteans and the Anunnaki lineage also had bluish blood and bluish tinted skin.
That's great that you love gloves, Sam.
Because of the copper base that carried oxygen to their systems. But when these people...
It's funny, when it comes to this, there was a family in Appalachia, like the Appalachian Mans, that had the blue tint like he's talking about.
Spread out before the destruction of Atlantis, approximately 11,500 of your years ago, at the beginning of what your scientists refer to as the Younger Dryas period, that began the melting of the ice caps, the flooding and raising of the ocean levels to their present level, relatively speaking. The idea is that they spread to different civilizations, brought their technology, brought their understanding. This began before this time, before the destruction, the creation of the multiple pyramids around your planet.
So I have a friend that has a memory from an incarnation at this time period that he's talking about. And he remembers hiding the technology of their civilization in like North America.
That are all interconnected informationally, geometrically, scientifically, technologically, to act as markers for the upcoming destruction, to preserve knowledge, knowing that there would be a great amount of catastrophic destruction. These Atlanteans went into these different civilizations to preserve that knowledge in various structures, such as the Great Pyramid.
And this is why you have all sorts of images of giant iconography in reliefs and a lot of other ancient civilizations, because they were depicting things that they were actually seeing.
of Giza and other pyramids in the Americas, and even unto the Middle East, and even into Asia, and into Europe with many different forms, again, to preserve the knowledge. But these Atlanteans that survived, that were tall and considered the demigods, considered the idea of the union between the gods and man, these that were, as your Bible says, the heroes of old, the heroes of renown in the olden days, the giants that walked the earth at that time, and that did boost the various human civilizations around them.
Realistically, my size would have been considered short for them.
Being human themselves, but also again mixed very strongly with extraterrestrial Anunnaki blood and genetics, did seek to preserve, and over time became blended more and more through procreation into human society, creating different bloodlines, some of which contain more or less Anunnaki genetics.
And a lot of the Anunnaki genetics is starting to actually resurface these days.
But these Atlanteans became what you now know in your biblical nomenclature as the Nephilim. These are the Nephilim, the Atlanteans that survived, the Atlanteans that preserved their knowledge, that spread around the world, boosting different civilizations to a new level, a new height, new training with new technology in agriculture, in science, in many different areas.
And this is why you get people like Matthias DeStefano. If anyone watching this knows who that is, that's why he has stories from an incarnation that was in, well, what's modern day Egypt, but the land of Kemp, talking about how they actually created the pyramids and cut the giant blocks and levitated things. It's because it was carried over technology from the Atlantean era.
Leaving these artifacts, these edifices, as a preservation of knowledge, as a preservation of what came before the deluge, came before the impact of the comet in the Atlantic Ocean that wiped their civilization out. And only now, in your modern time, are you beginning to have the race memory, the genetic collective memory of these times.
And this is why so many people are starting to have memories of that time period, because we're all just unlocking our genetic memory as well as our incarnational memory.
Wondering if Atlantis was even real, for it has devolved into myth and legend. Such was the level of the destruction, such was the level of the catastrophic destruction that wiped that civilization out, so that even today, thousands of years later, though it remains a dim memory, you even wonder if it actually existed. You will find more information in the years to come that lays buried in secret chambers in different places on the earth to show you that Atlantis did in fact survive through the ages in some way, shape, or form. You will decode certain things that exist more than you already have in some of the edifices that they left to remember them by, such as pyramids and temples around the planet, and find that there are references there, enough reference to let you know that Atlantis did exist, that it was real. It had reached a pinnacle of civilization.
There, also keep in mind, if you're watching this, or at any time in the future you're actually watching this, their technology didn't look like our technology. They reached Machu Picchu, and also a lot of structures in Peru. The blocks that are shoved together that you see in places like Italy, also in places like Peru, South America, North America, and all over the place, that's actually also examples of their technology.
But in starting over, and the bloodline being dispersed among different tribes around your planet, the Nephilim did guide, to some degree, some of these bloodlines, along with cooperation from extraterrestrial sources, to make sure that the bloodlines did not die out, that they were preserved, to at least the degree that would allow the collective memory of your species to once again remember that such a civilization did exist, and that it is time again for the idea to come forth, to burst forth, to be reborn anew in the civilizations that you are creating that now.
So keep this in mind. Like I said, for whoever watches this in the future, for anyone that, if you think about it, there's a lot of less advanced technologies stacked on top of more advanced, like structures and building materials, and all, as well as things that we can't even do today. That's where you see like the level of technology that came out of those civilizations that they borrowed from the Atlanteans and from that whole civilization. But as people die off, the technology got lost.
Can allow themselves to move forward and expand in more positive ways without drawing upon itself or drawing down upon itself the idea.
This is the transmission of hidden history. What he's talking about is, where did the Atlanteans go? You can go back and watch this. This will be on my channel. But he's talking about what happened to the survivors of Atlantis once their whole civilization sank.
Idea of total destruction again. But again, as we have said, it is not about the idea of what happens to the planet you're on. It's about the idea of learning these things and creating the vibrational frequencies within yourself that will allow you to start aligning with the Atlantean vibration.
Also, keep in mind, I've been working a lot in the last 3 weeks and just have not had the energy to do this.
Vibrations that were positive and constructive, being those of light instead of darkness.
This is going to be up on my channel, so feel free to watch it whenever you want to.
That will shift you to realities in which you can recreate the idea sociologically, technologically, of Atlantis and continue from where they left off, reaching greater heights, greater abilities that will serve all on the planet you have shifted to, the version of Earth that you will experience.
Puppy.
And allow you, again, to open up to the reception of extraterrestrial communication once again, as it was in Atlantean times, and allow you the affinity and the connection to nature that the early Atlanteans had, that allowed them to rise to such great heights.
So this is also why, like, anytime if you guys have ever watched Bashar, why he talks about the cryptics and the nocturnals and the 5 levels of mastery, he's talking about how we'll go back to what the Atlanteans were actually expanding into, but we'll do it in a much more natural way eventually.
And an understanding of your physical world in terms of your relation to animals and trees and crystals that will once again open your eyes.
The hybrids. He's talking about the hybrids that will eventually, we will all transform into.
And open your minds and open your hearts to a new way of life upon the version of Earth that you will shift to by aligning with the positive light energies of early Atlantis before the split into darkness, before the destruction.
I personally, I don't know about anyone else who's watching this, but I really look forward to actually getting some of the Atlantean technology, because it's going to be really cool what it can do.
Moving forward, allow yourselves to feel those ages past as they are here now, as everything is here and now, and connect with those vibrations so that you can move forward and add this frequency to the navigation that you are doing that takes you through various shifting versions of Earth to make sure you are firmly placing your hand on the rudder of the ship you are sailing across this new ocean, this new sea of enlightenment and discovery.
Oh, that is really cool. What kind of flashes did you get after you actually had the encounter with the craft? And keep in mind, probably the person on that craft was your counterpart too. So you were saying hi to yourself.
To become the new Atlantis of Earth, so that this vibration may truly circumnavigate the earth and take all who wish to join that frequency along to the shifting realities of the earths that will be more and more representative.
Oh, and as far as my counterpart, he's with me. He's just allowing me to do the work I need to. I got to pay my bills, and I'm not making money doing this, but this is just for fun. So, but he's there. He's still seeing through things. He just kind of let me do my thing.
Of this peace, of this bounty, of this beauty. We thank you for allowing us to share the idea that the Atlanteans in some ways are still with you. And if you begin to truly open up without fear to a new future, to be yourselves, you will find that you have within all
Please do.
who contain any of the Anunnaki genes,
We all contain Anunnaki genes, and we all have counterparts. So this is something to keep in mind for anyone that watches this stuff or is drawn to Bashar's teaching. More than likely, you have a counterpart inside that society. You have a counterpart that's there to help you connect. Through watching these together and connecting together, we're creating more of a bridge to your counterparts inside of that civilization together.
ability to incorporate this Atlantean frequency to carry you forward in a positive way. We thank you for allowing us to share this with you. And in return, we ask you now.
And we are also the future incarnations of a lot of the Atlanteans that he's talking about.
Now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogue and questions, if you wish.
Yay!
Good day, Bashar. I love you so much, and I feel so emotional as never before.
So something, because I've heard Bashar say this, the original humans were very dark skins, like what you see in Africa. I would like to know, me personally, I would like to see, because we had, when humans were created in the first place, we had 13 extraterrestrial races like injected into us. That's why there's such a variety of the way people look on this planet. I would love to understand what races are actually manifesting, because speaking of the guy who's on screen right now, he said that people who are redheads, there is a particular race that are all the redheads that correlate to the guy you see right now. I would love to know what race that actually is called, because it's a pretty big part of our species. So.
All right, our unconditional love to you as well.
My first question would be, like, 3 months ago, I came back to Europe, and, well, I felt like force density. Was it force density? I felt like it was like a ghost town at first for 2 months.
So when we're shifting up in frequency, we're shifting up in our vibration. We're gonna because we're already shifting into fourth density right now, and we're getting rid of all the stuff from third density. The thing to keep in mind is you're going to have glimpses of what it's like to be fully in fourth density with your vibration and your frequency and your experience of everything. So that's what he's talking about.
And then the last 2 or 3 weeks, I felt more, connection with the higher self every day, or communication, and the outside world was not so ghost town anymore. Can you tell me where I was, or what was this?
Well, again, you are in transition with a lot of other people, going from third to fourth density and allowing fourth density to truly begin to crystallize and solidify, so that you have senses that can now perceive other things, including energy shifts, including the densification or crystallization of fourth density more and more. So you are simply experiencing the extension of your senses to be able to pick up on more things than you could before. Do you understand?
Yes. And is this shift, is this force density, this quasi-physics?
And see, this is what Bashar talks about on so many levels. just based off of what you just put, and that is fantastic. I love that you had that experience. And that is really freaking cool that you, Night Druid, that's really freaking cool that you had that experience. You resonated with them at such a high frequency rate that they could actually show themselves to you.
Yeah.
No. It's going into a higher level of physicality. You're not going to become quasi-physical as a species until you start approaching the idea of fifth density, which is non-physical. But that's not going to happen for hundreds of years on your planet. But fourth density is...
Absolutely. But you were actually vibrating at such a high frequency at that moment, or you accelerated yourself at such a high frequency at that moment that you were able to perceive the contact with your counterpart that was on that ship.
Is a much higher level of physical reality, one of connection, one of creativity. And so the idea is that you are beginning to feel the very beginnings of the planting of the seeds that will grow into a new reality of physicalness that can be, as you say, heaven on earth.
And Night Druid, like you said, and just like Bashar said, and I'm gonna roll that back. So like, let's go back a little bit, because this is what he's saying right now is actually relevant to what you're talking about.
Is this fourth density, this quasi-physical?
No. It's going into a higher level of physicality. You're not going to become quasi-physical as a species until you start approaching the idea of fifth density, which is non-physical. But that's not going to happen for hundreds of years on your planet. But fourth density is a much higher level of physical reality, one of connection, one of creativity. And so the idea is that you are beginning to feel the very beginnings of the planting of the seeds that will grow into a new reality of physicalness that can be, as you say, heaven on earth.
That's great. Thank you so much. And
yes.
Two weeks ago or something, and
it's also talking about raising your frequency, because in that moment you actually raised your frequency high enough that you were able to perceive those things. So just kind of keep that in mind with everything, because so if you want to have more contact with your counterpart that was on that ship, because they're saying hi and saying, hey, you were in the right correct vibration, if you can really remember what it felt like and put yourself back in that state, you can actually have more conscious contact with your counterpart.
Well, I read a book, Amazing Synchronicities, and I read a book which was written in kind of codes. And I felt so much passion to read it, and I read like 10%, 15%. And then I wanted to go out because I was in my apartment all the time. And when I read the book,
that is fantastic and wonderful synchronicity. I'm glad that you're having those experiences. And for everyone who's watching this in the future, we are all going to have those kind of experiences before you know it, more often.
3 days later, I got between some kind of trigger, and I felt like all this vibe, this superpower, this vibration was gone, and I felt not ready for this book anymore.
Well, you obviously got what you needed. There are many sources that synchronicity...
And the transition's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's not just like purely like you shift into fourth density and then you stay there. It's like, it's actually a thing of you go there and then you bring yourself up and then you come back down and you just keep shifting your vibration until you completely shifted into that more fourth density state of being.
Will come to you. Sometimes those sources only need to give you a little bit of information to take you to the next stage. It doesn't mean you have to absorb everything of what comes to you. You may have simply gotten what you needed and moved on.
Oh, okay. So because I felt, oh my God, have I done
You are the path. Keep that in mind. You are the path.
Something wrong. Now this vibration's gone, but that sounds good. Okay.
All right, but to use your own words, and again, no judgment, but I'm just using your phrase. You have done something wrong by thinking you've done something wrong. you understand?
Yeah.
Your
Absolutely.
first assumption should be staying in a positive state, whether or not you were out of alignment or out of integrity. That doesn't necessarily automatically mean you've done something wrong, because as long as you're willing to learn from something that might be
dog.
representative of a misalignment, then you can go back into and maintain the idea of a positive state. But allow your first thought.
I don't know how many of you guys like who watch this, and I know Daryl has other shirts and like the Hawaiian shirts that he wears, but I always kind of wondered how many of those shirts does he have, because he always has a new one every single time that he, like, for every one of these transmissions.
To simply be, all right, am I still in alignment? How can I use this change in my feeling, this change in my circumstance in a positive way? Whereas if you just go into, have I done something wrong, you're automatically going into a negative space. And it makes it that much
That is why I'm here.
more challenging for you to get back into a positive space. Do you understand?
Yeah. Thank you.
And just because, let's go back a little bit.
Good. Okay.
All right, but to use your own words, and again, no judgment, but I'm just using your phrase. You have done something wrong by thinking you've done something wrong. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your first assumption should be staying in a positive state, whether or not you were out of alignment or out of integrity. That doesn't necessarily automatically mean you've done something wrong, because as long as you're willing to learn from something that might be representative of a misalignment, then you can go back into and maintain the idea of a positive state.
So, Nitrude, I just wanted to play that for you, that part specifically, because it plays into what you just said. Even if you drop out of the state or stop having your frequency up so high, there's nothing wrong with that. It's going up and down. It's up and down with the experience, just like what Bashar is saying right here. Your experience will shift, and you're going to come up and down with your experiences, because you can have more that it's more if you want to have more consistent contact with your SSonic counterpart or any other counterpart, especially ETs, because most of them that we're actually in contact with are operating in they're from a very high frequency state. You got to be able to maintain that. And generally speaking, most of us right now here on the earth can't necessarily maintain that vibrational frequency in order to actually grow, or we're not necessarily ready to be at that state right now. It's just, we would all actually probably burn out if we were at that point right now.
But allow your first thought to simply be, all right, am I still in alignment? How can I use this change in my feeling, this change in my circumstance in a positive way? Whereas if you just go into, have I done something wrong, you're automatically going into a negative space. And it makes it that much more challenging for you to get back into a positive space. Do you understand?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
So here's my take on guilt. Guilt literally is just self-judgment that you've held on to. I mean, it really is. Like, it is. I've had this realization over the last month or so, or last couple months, and I was able to let go a lot of that guilt and that self-judgment that I held on to. And it's amazing how much just letting go of those things, like right now I'm back working at a clinic and doing massage and doing body work for a living. And I'm kind of judging myself currently because I'm doing the thing that I said I didn't want to do. But I also know that I need to actually feed myself, feed my dog, feed my whole experience, and holding on to the idea that I have to make my living a certain way or things have to look a certain way. It's that insistence and holding on to that self-judgment that says, I'm not worthy of having the experience I want to. I just know that I'm taking the steps to get to where I want to be. It's all part of the process.
Does that help?
This helps. Thank you so much. And another synchronicity, like 2 weeks ago or something, I felt like I missed a huge, obvious synchronicity. And this was, I want to take it so badly, but because the synchronicity itself gave a time window I didn't took it.
You're not trusting yourself. You were given an experience because you were in the correct vibration to actually have that experience.
At this moment, and then a couple hours later, it was gone.
That's all right. Again,
Remember what Bashar said about trust. Trust is automatic. It's what you're trusting in that determines whether or not you're going to have a certain experience or you're going to have a particular anything happen in your life. You have to be the correct vibration of it to match it. So your reality will reflect that inner state that you're in. So it's the self-judgment. Just like really look at the self-judgment part of things, and you'll actually be able to not, you don't have to hold on it, because like I've heard Bashar say a million times, the moment it becomes ridiculous, the moment it becomes not normal, you'll be like, that makes no sense, and you'll let it go, because that's the end of the process. You don't need to judge yourself for any reason.
the windows will open up when they open up. They will close when they close. You may not necessarily take the first train that comes along, but maybe the second train will serve you as well. So again, you're testing yourself to make sure that you don't go into a negative space just because you think that you didn't act quickly enough on the synchronistic window that opened up for you. There will be many more windows. Relax. Be kind to yourself. Stay aligned.
Absolutely.
Stay positive. And open up to the idea of what was it that prevented you from acting on it, to explore your belief systems at the time, because that may be the purpose of the synchronous window opening and closing so quickly, is to give you a chance to examine what your belief systems are about the fact that you feel you may have missed something.
So, Knight, what he just said is exactly what you just said. It's just putting it, it's wonderful synchronicity that you're saying that at this moment.
Do you understand?
I understand.
That may have been its purpose, to show you that you still have this idea of choosing to believe you missed something. And if that is the case, then the synchronous window opening and closing so quickly has actually served its purpose, if you use it that way to explore yourself. Yes?
Yeah, thank you. Now I feel much better, so much better.
All right. Does that help you?
So much. One more question, please.
Yes.
Last question.
The collective consciousness, when we are more in fourth density, more and more.
We're already in fourth density. It's just we're shifting through the lower stages of fourth density.
What's going on with the people? Why are they so different? Like my family, for instance. I kind of know because I shifted, but
I also know that whoever's watching this is the people that need to watch it, and whoever doesn't, I don't care, because I got other things to do. It's not important. But I do know that doing these streams and watching this stuff with you guys is giving me more of a chance to sit there and explain what I understand. And if you guys understand something that I don't, I'm more than happy to sit there and read it and kind of expand on it, and so we all understand this stuff more thoroughly.
Yes. Well, again, not everyone you know is necessarily going to shift into the new reality with you.
Their version of them will shift into the new reality. The version that matches who you are at that moment, or the version that matches the reality that you're shifting into, will actually shift into that reality.
yeah.
So you will find those that are vibrationally compatible on the new version of Earth that you're shifting to. Those that do not necessarily choose to shift to the new version or a different version,
It's okay.
they will not necessarily feel vibrationally compatible with you.
So I've been having this because I've been starting to work. I've been working at a new place for the last 3 weeks. I'm definitely finding clients that, or patients at my new facility, that are not matching kind of the vibration or what I'm putting out there. So I'm kind of going through the process of right now of actually getting the correct patient people that are seeing me, so I can help them and help them grow and help them move out of pain and yada yada yada. So the people that are going out of my experience really fast, it's okay. I like my schedule being full, but at the same time, it's okay that they're not like they don't find the kind of work that I do to their liking or what they appreciate.
That's just the way it works. Everyone has their own path. You have to let everyone choose
And
whatever
it's good seeing
path
you again,
they believe at
Skeptical.
that moment is correct for them, and that doesn't mean they will always align with you. All right?
Thank you so much. One
Oh.
last statement.
Another last statement?
Not a question, a statement now.
Yes.
In this time or in this my reality, I don't have to pay tax anymore because it's simply not relevant anymore.
It's not relevant to you, or is it not relevant to the society you are in?
Me.
But are you living in a society where it is relevant?
Yeah, I think.
Oh my god. I'm not alone in this. I've had so many people just like drop out of my life that used to be part of it so much, and now I'm like, I miss having my friends around and I miss having everyone around, but holy crap, I miss do like most of the time I'm just kind of out at home and not doing much other than like watching Bashar videos or watching Tears of the Kingdom, which by the way I've been watching that way too much because I haven't had energy to do this. Yeah, I feel you. Like a lot of people have just melted away, and I'm like, I'm wondering where like a lot of my friends have gone.
So still, yes.
Well, then why not simply assume that you will be able to pay the taxes as long as you live in a society that says that that's something you need to do? It's not about ignoring your laws. It's either about changing them or moving to a
Since I'm trying to figure out a way to my schedule so I can keep doing these streams, because I have the last few weeks starting at the new place I just have not actually had a lot of energy. I'm trying to figure out when to do these streams so I can actually still keep doing them with you guys, and also so I'm not burning myself out trying to do both at the same time. So that's kind of why I haven't been doing the streams the last 3 weeks. So
place where those laws don't exist. But it's not about ignoring the laws of the place in which you are choosing to live.
All right, this helps so much. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, my name is Christy. I'm from Wisconsin, and my question is, are all the...
it's relevant. It's what's relevant for some people. It's not necessarily relevant for you. Like I sit there and I'll talk about this to people, and it drives them off instantly. Like I have a lot of people that I talk to about this kind of stuff, and like you guys. But it's not necessarily relevant for everyone to have the same experience, or a lot of people frankly find this kind of stuff weird. I mean, they really do. It's nice to have you guys to actually sit there and talk to about it. Let's go back. 10 seconds. There we go.
You are welcome. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, my name is Christy. I'm from Wisconsin, and my question is, are all the people in our lives just a reflection, a mirror of ourselves, of the belief systems that we need to identify and redefine in order to come into our authentic selves and truly live the formula?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, but again, not everything is a one-to-one reflection. So there can be greater or lesser reasons why people are in your life. But the idea is they are all there for a reason. They are all there for a reflective purpose. But again, sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to do immediately with issues you may be dealing with directly or that are paramount.
So the Bashar, the Sedona event, I may actually try to go to that. I just have to kind of work out my work schedule, as well as I need to work out just money in the next few months, because I got to make sure I everything's paid so I can keep doing these things with you guys.
In your mind. They may be there simply as a support system because you need someone there to be able to reflect on what you need to reflect on. So don't always take it as a one-to-one reflection. But yes, it's all an orchestration. There are no accidents. It's all synchronicity.
And people synchronistically leave your life as well. I mean, pretty simple. And yes, I know because I've mentored a few people that are going through their awakening. A really good kid who I'm not going to share his name here. He's a good guy. I've talked to him a few times, but he's going through the awakening part of things when a lot of people frankly lose themselves and kind of go off the deep end and become schizophrenic. I've been kind of helping him when I can to be more grounded in his energy, which is usually a better approach. Because frankly, if you don't have that grounded approach, you don't reach the state where you can actually have more of that contact with your counterparts. So.
Good day, Bashar. I'm so happy to meet you.
Our unconditional love and excitement to you as well.
Madwax, if I can go, I would love to meet you in person.
What would you like to discuss today?
I want to ask about how I can tell whether I still haven't found out my fear or whether I'm just attached to something.
Is it still coming up? That's usually what it is. And it's not necessarily, if you come at it from a negative place, it's fear, but you can come at it as more of a lesson. It's not going to be that fear state, or it's a lesson. It's usually just a lesson that you need to work on.
My excitement is around being in communication with multidimensional beings like yourself who are helping us raise the vibration.
Yes, but what are you doing with that communication?
I mean, honestly, really, it's great that you're in contact, but what do you do with it? I mean, seriously, think about a lot of these things in more practical terms. It's a thing. It's,
What are you doing on Earth with that communication? How are you...
I'm sharing this with you guys, as well as I am actually... I'm here to be with you guys, and also I'm here to share my experiences in a way that makes you feel like you're not alone, because I know, frankly, a lot of times I feel alone out in the world when I'm sharing this information with people. Ooh. So, autistic flappy hands. One of the things I find is not telling people you got the information from an alien. Just share the information with them. Hey, explain it the way he does, but don't say, hey, I got this from an alien. That usually helps also.
Expressing your passion on Earth to be of service to others.
By loving people in every way, actually. So I'm a teacher, just being with people as they are and knowing. Yeah.
And so what are you confused about?
I would like to be doing it at a more direct level rather than simply my way of being and being with people. I'd like to have a more of a focus.
Well, you're having more of a focused conversation right now.
Exactly.
But that doesn't necessarily serve the people of Earth to continue to have it this way. It's like going to the well to get water, but then going back to distribute it to your tribe. You can't just stay at the well.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say so. What he's saying right now. Let's. I'm gonna let him finish what he's saying right now. But this is
well, and keep dipping water out of it, and not go back and distribute the water. That doesn't serve a purpose.
I like the way I usually phrase it is I say one of my favorite teachers. Gurus are up on a pedestal. Gurus are they're untouchable. Generally speaking, the information is the more important part. For us to actually share the information, just use it. It's not there to be set so high up on a pedestal that you can never hope to attain it. Realistically speaking, anyone who's attracted to this information, we're all generally speaking Sasani in human, Eshikani in human clothing right now. So and I've heard Bashar say this 1,000 times. He's just here reminding us of the things we already know.
purpose. So the idea is you will have whatever direct conversations are necessary, but you have to allow yourself to also trust that your life is unfolding the way that it needs to, and you don't necessarily have to have as many direct conversations as you may think to get what you need to share with others.
Absolutely, Knight.
To be of service to others. You have to trust the way it happens, how often it happens, when it happens, and know that it's happening in perfect timing. Plus, the way that some human minds work, the idea of insisting that it must happen a certain way only gets in the way of the way it's actually happening. So allowing yourself to know that you are in whatever form of communication you need to be to deliver whatever it is you truly need will allow you to experience that connection and communication with other beings in whatever ways actually serves everyone involved.
So going back to the guru thing, I've had people call me a guru, and I go, I am not a guru. I will never be a guru. I am a teacher. I am a signpost. I'm here to help people, but I am not a guru. I'm not like, yeah, I can do shaman things. I can do a lot of the esoteric things that most people think are impossible. And this is a big and, I am just here to help point people the right way. I don't want to be worshipped. I just want to be there to help others.
Not just the way you think it should be. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
And by moving forward and making sure that you are doing what you say you're passionate about in the most passionate way you could be doing it, with all the factors aligned, what it is you're doing, with whom it is you're doing it, where it is you're doing it, how it is you're doing it, all being representative of using your creative imagination to do it in the way that is truly, fully encompassing the idea of the expression of your passion, will raise your vibration and make whatever forms of communication that serve you and everyone else necessary happen more often.
And that's why I'm doing these streams with you guys, because this is the form that works for me.
So it's not like you have to single this out. I want it to happen this way. I wish it would happen this way. It's about knowing that it will happen perfectly in a multitude of ways that will actually be the ways that serve you and everyone best.
Drop the insistence. Saying it has to happen one way. It can happen whatever way works best for anyone.
Does that make sense?
It sure does.
All right. Does that help?
It does. But this lingering question around fear that comes up, like, so.
Fear of what?
Fear of unidentified presences in the room with me, and I get afraid.
What she's saying right here, and I can tell you from my own experience and the things I perceive all the time, and to all of us, the room is full. There's not really room for anyone else. Like, you literally have friends around with you all the time.
And
Why?
Oh, something's here, and I shut it down.
Why do you get afraid? Why not just go on about your business and let it be what it needs to be? Why do you get afraid? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, and that's the thing. At a conscious level, I can't.
Oh, I'm not scolding this guy. Like, I personally think the guru thing is like been overplayed, and a lot of times for me the guru thing, because I've listened to teachers all over the time. I've listened to a lot of different teachers over the years, and they tend to be a little full of themselves and just trying to get money after a while. It's not so much about the actual helping people.
Like, say it's not that I don't feel safe, that I think someone's gonna do something to me. I just have this automatic response of
something doing something to you, or something doing something for you.
Exactly.
Doing something for
But
you.
why do you go to the to you instead of the for you?
That's what.
Coming from a victimhood mentality, if it's something happening to you, that's usually a lower vibrational. It's a lower vibrational state. So my personal way of looking at things is usually it's happening for me to have an experience or to grow in some way.
But I'm wondering.
Well, what's the fear? What do you think is going to happen? What are you afraid might happen? Be specific.
This is what I can't tell yet because
Yes, you
I shut
can.
down so
Yes,
quick.
you can. Yes, you can.
It's also really easy to fall into that victim mentality of things that are happening to you. Let's just be honest. Like, as a human, that's generally the way most humans think, and I'm very guilty of that myself. But just overall, like, your experience is your experience. Like, you can get some pretty interesting things, like when you grow beyond like the limits of what you've been taught.
Of course you can.
I guess I'm afraid that I'm going to be taken advantage of.
And why would you think you would attract something that would take advantage of you?
Because I'm not.
You're not.
I do not know that one. I'm actually going to have to look up that after we're done today, because I would love to see what he teaches. Let's check that well out, but let's go back to it.
What?
Tune
Tote. I love the Emerald Towers of Tote. The Atlantean. The alien.
enough. I'm not.
You're
aware
not in
enough.
tune enough. You're not aware enough. Why do you think that about yourself?
Basically, saying she's not good enough. She's not worthy.
What are you measuring yourself against? This amazing ideal that you're supposed to be. Why aren't you good enough as you are?
Of
I
course
think I
she's good
should
enough.
know. I think even just the fact that something's there with me makes me feel like, since I don't know what it is,
But you know that something's
It's
there.
usually your guides.
Isn't that enough? Why isn't that enough?
They're there
Why
to
isn't
help.
that good enough?
I feel like I need to know what it is. That if I don't know what it is that's going on, and I can't have.
Then you're out of control.
Yes.
Nonsense. You have
And like what he's saying, you are in complete control all the time. You're using the fact that you're in control to have yourself have an experience of being out of control. And also, Night Druid, that is fantastic that you had the experience, but use that as a guiding, in case you did have that experience, use that as a guiding mechanism to be able to have more of those kind of experience, because your counterpart's like, hi, I'm here, let's hang out, let's do things, because you can go back up to that frequency once you've experienced it once. Like, allow it to guide you to have more of those kind of experiences.
a definition that is making you feel that without the conscious mind knowing every single little detail that something's going to go wrong. That means you're allowing the idea of your physical mind to run the show instead of allowing your higher mind to show you what needs to happen.
So, and this is from a, let's review for everyone who's going to watch this in the future. The higher mind conceives, the physical mind receives, and the egoic mind perceives. It doesn't know what's going to happen. So the higher mind is actually creating what needs to happen or what's going to happen.
It means you don't trust the higher mind, and you're putting way too much pressure on the physical mind to think that it has to know everything, that the physical mind is in control. The truth is, the physical mind is not designed to be in control.
Nope.
The physical mind is designed to simply experience what it is that comes into your life as fully as possible.
And my physical mind lately has been really stressed out because as much as I love doing body work, I need to evolve what I do because I am ready to do something a little bit different for a living. But I do love my job. I love helping people, but I need to kind of change it up so I'm not just like burning myself out so bad.
Work together with your higher mind to know that the higher mind is not going to steer you wrong, that
Nope.
you have to really trust your great
Because your higher mind is you. It may be up on the mountains, but it's also down in here in the valley. You are part of it. It's like saying, if you're worried that your higher mind is going to misguide you or trip you up on purpose, it's like saying you don't trust yourself. Also, you don't. It's affected by the stuff that does happen here in the valley. And not to the same extent, but it is affected by those things.
Greater self, the total you of the physical and the higher mind, to work together, and that everything will unfold exactly as it needs to if you will relax the insistence that the physical mind needs to know every single detail in order for everything to be okay, which it's not designed to do.
Sky, I would love to do, because as much as I love Bashar, I would love to check out some of the other teachers, and I would love to go through the entire Emerald Tablet book with you guys, so we can actually sit there and like kind of discuss it as a group. We'll do some like Emerald Tablet sessions.
That's like saying, in the analogy we often use, that if you go deep sea diving and you use a diving mask, which is only designed to allow you to see clearly what's happening under the water instead of it being murky, it's like saying the diving mask has to know everything you're about to see before you're willing to see it. The diving mask isn't designed to tell you what's coming up or what fish you're going to see around the next bend. It's just designed to let you see whatever comes up more clearly. That's its job, and it's not designed to do more than that. So stop putting so much pressure on your physical mind to do a job it's not designed to do, and let the higher mind take over, because that's its job. You understand?
Do.
Are you willing to relax into this understanding?
Yes.
Are you willing to know that whatever comes up has to be for your benefit if you stay in a positive state?
Yes.
Then it will be. Even if it feels uncomfortable momentarily, that's all right. That's just the reflective mirror in the kit of passion showing you that you may be holding on to beliefs that don't work for you, that are out of alignment for you. And when you feel that, go back into the positive state, knowing that you cannot experience anything but a positive outcome if you stay in a positive state, because that's just physics. As a teacher, you should understand physics to some degree.
Yes.
So what you put out is what you get back.
And that's the best rule you can, like, if you want to experience things like night, you put out the being a high enough vibration to perceive that thing, to have that experience with your Essassani counterpart, or your Sassani counterpart. So you got back the experience of seeing their scout craft.
And so even if you momentarily go into a place that feels uncomfortable, know that that's just there to get your attention, that you're holding on to something that doesn't work for you. Find out what it is by exploring it more deeply. Take the time to do so. Don't rush past it. So even if you momentarily shut it down, go back and visit it later. And understand again that if you explore this from a positive point of view, knowing that anything, no matter what it is, has the ability to serve you in a positive way, then you will start to relax and open up and let it be whatever it is, knowing that it can't be anything but something that will give you a positive effect.
And this is something, because I've had a number of students in the past that I've mentored and kind of taught. And I want to say this to everyone. There's no such thing as a shortcut. There's no such thing as getting too far ahead. You're as far as you are at that moment because that's where you are at that moment. So there's no such thing as a shortcut to put you further ahead than you're going to need to be at that moment.
Practice that.
Yep.
I will.
All right, it's up to you. Does this help you?
It does. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Hi, dear Bashar. I'm Lin from China. I would like to know the difference between being passionate and being reckless. Let's say I am working, and if I follow every urge to check my Facebook or to go online shopping without thinking about the consequences or having an expectation of the results, I would say I'm being irresponsible than being passionate. What do you think? I'd like to know your opinion. Thank you.
Well, since you obviously recognize that there is a difference,
Use your discernment. Like, it's pretty simple. If it's coming from the place of the ego versus like the higher mind, that's usually a pretty good indicator. And also, if you're coming from, here's something that I find that helps with the question she just asked. Have discernment. and also recognize that it's not coming from a positive place. Because usually, if it's something that's not good for you, there's gonna be blocks thrown up in your way constantly, so you can't go down that particular direction.
I would suggest that you have the capacity to tell the difference and be honest with yourself in your own self-investigation, again, why you're motivated to do what it is you choose to do. Because sometimes you may think it's representative of your passion, but
If you try to take a shortcut, 9 times out of 10, sometimes, yeah, it does work, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to take you longer.
if you have an honest self-examination, you may realize that you're actually acting out of anxiety. So you have to have honest dialogues within yourself.
There is such a thing as efficiency. There can be there's efficiency in the, say you've done a task 1,000 times, you're gonna in that way of doing it, you're gonna find a more efficient way to do it. So you're not really taking a shortcut. It's just you found a much more efficient way to have that experience or to produce the result that you want.
About why you choose to do
Practice.
what you choose to do at any given moment. Is it really representative of your passion, or is it representative of your anxiety, which can cause you to act on things irresponsibly? It seems you have the capacity to tell the difference if you just do a little deeper, more honest investigation about why you choose to do what you do.
Absolutely.
Instead of just running headlong into doing it. Good day, good day.
All right.
So if you're operating out of anxiety, typically, it's a thing. Like, this is where the whole idea of discernment comes into play. Like, just recognize where it's coming from versus if you're acting out of anxiety and worrying about the future, that's usually not a great place to come from anyways. If you're acting on it because the higher mind's guiding you that direction, that's a fantastic place to come from, because that's usually the correct way to do it.
Thank you for your part in the co-creation of this experience.
It is our deep pleasure.
All right. My first question to you is, can you tell us what is that huge complex under the pyramids and what was it used for?
Many different things: initiations, rituals, practicing out-of-body projection, so on and so forth.
Yep.
And a storehouse of knowledge, a teaching center,
Yep.
an initiation center for the priesthood.
And it's all flooded right now because of the dam in Egypt.
Okay. Sounds pretty cool. My next question is, can you tell us about a civilization that chooses not to tie themselves into a single agenda per se, but instead takes on a more nomadic approach to all that is, and what is their perspective on this?
Were you talking about our civilization?
Because they don't really live on their planet anymore. They more or less live in ships.
Well, yes, but also not to the extent of like going into a specific agenda, like the hybrid agenda.
Oh, I see. All right. Yes, but the idea is many beings in my civilization don't necessarily participate in that idea directly. I'm a first contact specialist with regard to my connection to Earth, so it's necessary for me to delve into that. But that doesn't mean every being on my planet does. And yes, there are many other civilizations that have nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Realistically speaking, there's only about 18 species that are around us currently. Like, there's not that many. There are thousands of different species out there. We only got 18. These are just the ones helping us currently. And there's a few that come in and out, but generally speaking, there's not that many species that are helping right now with the hybridization agenda as well as the ascension of Earth.
We have described a few of them now and then. They're off doing whatever they're doing. There are many different ways in which different civilizations express themselves throughout the cosmos that have nothing at all to do, and many of them don't even know you exist.
That's pretty cool. I like to see it as like a party hopping experience, so to speak.
Well, all right. Sometimes that happens too.
The man that's up on screen next to Daryl is the very definition of a Sasani incarnated as a human right now.
That's pretty cool. All right.
Not all of them. Like, let's list it off. We have the five hybrid races, the Greys, the Zeta Greys. We have the Palladians. We have the Lyrans. We have there's some Anunnaki mixed in there, or the Hyper Sapiens, the Tall Whites, the Blue Avians, the Arcturans, the Zeta Greys, which are the Mantis beings. I'm trying to think who else there, but I know from what I've heard, we have it, and also I don't know their exact name, but the Palladians that are the Nordic blonde-looking people, but they're our relatives also.
My last question is Tourette syndrome actually a form of conscious channeling, and can it be focused in a way?
Yes. To some degree, it's kind of a short-circuiting of a connecting to another level of consciousness. But the idea is that for one reason or another, and there are a variety of reasons, some of which have to do with the idea of health, some of which have to do with the idea of physics, some of which have to do with the idea of neurology or chemistry, there may be a short circuit in the neurological system that actually prevents the connection from coming through smoothly. The idea of doing different things that will allow for a lot.
So the Olympians in history, and because you see the ones that I heard this recently from like Tyler Ellison, if you guys know who that is. I heard him recently talk about who the Olympians were, but more or less they were just another extraterrestrial race. I mean, realistically speaking, I think they were actually the Nordic-looking Palladians that we've interacted with for a long time.
Alignment between the different hemispheres.
Ooh! I actually had this on another Bashar transmission. It was the one where he was talking about the archetypes of God as well as So this is an older transmission, and I had Bashar sat there talking about a lot of times those particular things like the Olympians or the oh God, who else was it? Why am I blanking it? A lot of the time those beings are actually archetypes. There may have been an original being attached to those specifically, but the actual archetype was is what remains and what's in myth and what's in our society these days. Ryo is awesome and he's fun. I've actually had a couple conversations with him, and yeah, he's good people.
Of the brain through the center of the brain, the corpus callosum, can aid and assist in the idea of smoothing some of that out. But there can be a variety of ways that
you got to keep in mind, if it's any information coming from the Pleiades, that's an open system. There's hundreds of planets within their system. That's why there's so many mixed things coming from there, because it's not just one species. Yeah, no, that's actually part of the problem, that why there's so many mixed message when it comes to the Palladians. It's just there's a lot of different species. Like there's branches of the Anunnaki that ended up going there that transformed into the Tall Whites, and like a bunch of other species that developed out of the diaspora that came out of the Anunnaki.
That can be done. Depends on the individual. One technique we have suggested in the past is for an individual to focus on the idea of the infinity symbol crossing through the center, going from this hemisphere to that hemisphere, and imagining a meditation where you are visualizing going back and forth through the center so quickly that suddenly you just see the infinity symbol as if it is blinking or flashing very quickly, and allowing for the idea of alignment between the hemispheres of the brain going through the center, the corpus callosum, to act as an idea that will allow for more organization to happen in the hemispheres in a more coherent way.
That's pretty interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Yes, there is, and I will have to find that, and we will sit there and watch that. Because I sat there and I had a good 6 months, and Bashar's even talked about it on. I will pull this video back up, but the interstellar enneagram transmission. That's actually a good one that talks specifically about what happened to the Anunnaki. They actually transformed into the tall whites. And there's I don't remember his name specifically, but he was a service member that was in Area 51, and he ended up having contact with the tall whites when he was there, and he said he didn't say that they were like Anunnaki or anything, but what he said is that when they're still really young, up until they hit about like the age of 80, they're generally speaking about our size. And then once they hit that age, they actually shoot up to about the 20-foot mark. And as they get older, they just keep growing and growing and growing. So they're huge. But specifically the ones that are younger tend to be more around our size, and then they just keep growing as they get older. And I will find the guy, because that one's a really cool. I've sat there and rewatched that a few times, and I would love to share that information with you. But yeah, there's quite a bit out there about the tall whites if you just take some time to look.
thank you, Bashar.
It is our passion and our pleasure. You are welcome.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Chris from California, and I wanted to clarify a couple of your teachings about reincarnation. You say that we are only ever who we are now, and that reincarnation is an illusion because everything exists all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you also say that we can have other experiences beyond this one and complete our themes in spirit and go on to create experiences of reincarnation. And I like the sound of that because as much as I'm enjoying being Chris from California,
there's some linearity in the experience of non-physicality. You'd have to have some experience of that in order to actually have the experience of moving on to something else.
I also want to explore and experience a lot of different things as well. So how does this all fit together and work, and how is it that we can continue to have experiences while only ever being who we are? I feel like maybe it's like that
You're many different people in any given lifetime.
you have a television and you can watch different movies on it, but that television is always only going to be that one screen. Is that kind of how it is? Thank you.
It can be. But understand that we're talking about two different levels of consciousness here. On one level, everything is here and now, mechanically speaking, physically speaking, in terms of the structure of existence. But linearly speaking, and the whole point of linear reality is to experience the concept of time and space and change and being able to have different experiences. Even though they actually mechanically are all happening now, it doesn't mean that you experience them as all happening now. So you have to understand the difference between a description of the structure of existence in which everything is here and now, and the experience of that, the relationship to it, which can create the time-space linear different experiences that you're talking about enjoying.
Would you guys like to ask me questions? He is allowing me to take over for the moment. Would you guys like to ask me questions? Take your time. This is the first time we're connecting like this. Of course, that's why you're here. That's why we were talking at this moment. If you weren't involved, you wouldn't be interested in this information that the Bashar is being brought through. What is the problem? What is the part you are having problems articulating? It's the pressure you're putting on yourself. Use the energy flow to allow you to know when you are in a state of resistance and explore within inside of that understanding to be able to allow yourself to finish the project in a much more synchronistic way. Drop the insistence, like the Bashar says. And also, if you're having a blockage, allow yourself to sit there and write about the blockage. And in that moment, once you have actually moved past the blockage, you will have no longer have the block because you've written about the blockage. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, of course you do. Generally speaking, if you're drawn to the information that comes along with from Bashar, and if you've outgrown the story itself, generally speaking, it is time to move on for it. You can also just finish it. There is one thing, a story this Conduits was told many years ago. Art is never truly finished. It's just knowing when to put it down so it can finish itself. You are watching live as this conduit is allowing me to come through for the first time. He is able to maintain the connection only for short amounts of time at the moment. So Lowe's, what I would say, if you're having trouble finishing the book, allow yourself to actually step away from it a minute, let it breathe, and give yourself a couple days where if you don't work on it, the idea itself will actually percolate if you actually allow yourself to have enough space for the answer to come to you. If you're forcing it to come through, it's never going to come. It's never going to come through. Let's go back to the. But by the way, that was wicked because I've never actually had that happen in front of people. Like I've had it happen sometimes, but never to that level. That was cool. Okay, let's continue on with the Bashar stuff.
So you have to be careful of understanding what level you're talking about. We will often go back and forth when
Okay, that was really cool. Like that just completely took over and like I wasn't in control there for a minute.
we say these things because of some of the limitations of your language. So realize when we're talking about the structure as opposed to when we're talking about the experience of the structure.
Good day, Bashar. Good day, other beings listening, and good day to all of my fellow humans that are here as well too. Thank you so much for taking my question today.
It is our passion and our pleasure. What would you like to discuss?
Well, actually, there's this experience I had when
Let's do. I need to probably find someone to sit there and be a chat moderator and talk to me while I'm doing it, so I can just focus on the bringing the information through. But I would love to sit there and actually just have you guys ask me questions or record a session of where my counterpart comes through and just answers the questions for you guys. But I need to actually have someone else sitting there asking the questions for me or talking to me. So
I was a child, linearly speaking, of course,
Yes.
about a stroller that ended up floating in the middle of my room.
Yes.
That I was just
okay, I've
always
lost
wondered what that was
I've lost
about.
track
I
of
was
set.
hoping you
Hold
could
on, let me
fill
re,
in.
let me. I'm gonna go back to this.
Well, actually, there's this experience I had when I was a
Hold
child.
on. I'm still
taking my
lost for a
question-
second. Hold on a second.
Realize of understand
That's
so you have
right.
to have different but linearly speaking, it is our passion and our pleasure. What would you like to
Okay.
discuss?
Well, actually, there's this experience I had when I was a child, linearly speaking, of course.
Yes.
That was exhilarating.
About a
Holy
stroller
crap.
that ended up floating in the middle of my room.
Yes.
That I was just always wondered what that was about, and I was hoping you could fill me in on that.
Well, to show you that you are connected to the hybridization agenda, therefore some of the hybrid children were playing a little bit of a game by levitating that to show you that you're not alone, that you are connected to other children in that sense at that time, and that they are part of your family.
Yeah, and also someone physically talking to me to like be able to speak it out loud, so it's able to just kind of come through me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I have another experience that I was curious about as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was in this session with light language, and I seen a Sasquatch in the window.
Yes.
And
Her
later,
counterpart.
later it turned out its name was the Hairy Fairy, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Well, that's not literally its name.
Right? That was really cool. It was just like this overly joyful experience just kind of coming through me. It was just like taking over my hands for a second. Just that was cool.
Yeah, totally. It's just what it wanted to call me or call it. Yeah. And that was just what the lady had said because she was channeling at the same time. So I was just curious as to what that meeting was about. And
Well, in the sense that it simply picked up on the energies that you were connecting to and was curious and looked in to see what was going on.
So keep in mind, I've been trying to get into like vocal channeling and stuff for a little while. Well, actually for quite a long time, but that's the first time it's come through so easily. That's cool.
oh yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like he was just a curious being. So I just, yeah, that actually really.
Yeah, because they're sensitive to those kinds of energies. So when anyone is dealing with those, sometimes it may attract the attention of those that are sensitive to it.
Yeah, it was like such a beautiful like trance moment. It was such a privilege to be to witness that.
Yes, all right. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yes, actually, thank you. So I'm pregnant.
Yes, that would be cool. That would actually be extremely cool to set that off in a. We'll do this more in future things, but like that was literally the first time anything like that's ever happened to that level with me, where it just kind of came through and was like, let's ask questions.
Yes.
I wanted to know if there was any like permission slips that could kind of develop like a stronger mind to like endure.
There's also, I can tell you from what I've been developing the last few months, there's not as much resistance in me as well to be able to actually allow something like that to come through. Because I've been actually meditating and connecting to him, but it's all been more telepathic, like mind communications, and not so much him taking over. And it's a different sort of like personality than I was expecting. It was a much more subdued. Like he's quiet, but that was different than I was expecting.
Or like the pain of childbirth.
Go into nature and talk to the trees.
Yes.
They will help you. It is not given to us to give you that information. It is given to them to give it to you when you are in nature. You will find something that will help.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Okay, so I just have one more question.
Yes.
I was wondering about if there was any extraterrestrials working with me, and like
Yes,
I was
yes.
also yeah.
Such as me right now.
Yes, I know.
There's plenty of extraterrestrials working with all of us. Ooh, I should see if I could channel one of my guides, Toma. Like, I've had him write a few stories for me, but I would love for him, he's a Toltec. Like, I would love to actually have him come through and talk to you guys, because he has it's a very particular sort of energy. Let's do that at some point.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was just wondering about like if
Ooh, my counterpart inside of the name he gave me for now as a placeholder, or the name he wants me to use, is Etham. Not Ethereum, Etham.
there was any other ones.
Yes, of course there are.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it for now. Focus on what we have already told you about being in nature, making the connections to the elementals and the trees and the water and the grasses and the flowers and the rocks. There are many things going on in nature that you are yet to become aware of that will help you.
The cryptics.
That's wonderful. Speaking of nature, sorry, I was just wondering.
I would love for his ship to come over my house and see him just like, or when I'm out in nature or camping or something, I would love to have the experience like Night Druid. Sorry, I don't know your actual name, but I would love to have that experience where I saw one of the Sasani ships over my house and actually see them in like what you had, because that'd be really cool.
I mean, if there was anything that I could do for my fellow family member, dog and cat, that would help them with their excitement as well.
Is your cat allowed outdoors?
Yes, of course.
Can you take them with you into nature?
Yes.
Then go as a trio.
Oh, okay. Sometimes she follows us. Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. And then I'll talk the trees with them as well. While I'm
Relax, find a comfortable place in nature, just open up and see what you get. Start that way. All right? Don't forget to bring water with you.
Thank you.
So I've had this explained by another channel. If you guys know who Jonathan Trinity is, he channels a Yael. If you hydrate your system, you become a much better conduit for contact with other beings.
Beautiful.
All
Well
right.
said. Gotta stay hydrated. Any chance you could say anything about spontaneous combustion? Because that's just been something that I've wondered as well.
Thank you, Blair.
There are certain chemical reactions that can happen sometimes in a body that have to do with the raising of a frequency a little too fast.
And Blair, I think that would or Night Druid, I think that's actually what he just said. Let me go back, because I'm kind of in a dazed state now after that little experience. Hold on one sec. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Can you take them with you into nature?
Yes.
Then go as a trio.
Oh, okay. Sometimes she follows us. Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. And then I'll talk the trees with them as well. While I'm
Relax, find a comfortable place in nature, just open up and see what you get. Start that way. All right. Don't forget to bring water with you.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
All
Well said. Gotta stay
All
hydrated. Any chance you could say anything about spontaneous combustion? Because that's just been something that I wondered as well.
There are certain chemical reactions that can happen sometimes in a body that have to do with the raising of a frequency a little too fast along the neurological net that actually can cause burnout and what you have been referring to as a spontaneous combustion. But usually these things occur when a person's vibrational frequency is raised too quickly by the interaction with a portal.
Oh, so that's what I think. I'm gonna clip this little thing and put it up on my just as a normal clip on my actual YouTube channel.
To another reality, a portal to another dimension. Sometimes these portals can open up in random places on your planet, and if a person intersects one, it can raise their vibration so quickly that it actually causes a rapidity of molecular action that can create combustion.
Crazy.
If you say so.
Yes, thank you so much, Bashar. I really appreciate it. And I just want to send some extra love to the hybrid children who are listening as well too. And just thank you everybody who were present here today too.
You are welcome. Love received.
Aveo.
Aveo.
I'm just going to say this because of that little interaction that you guys saw that just happened spontaneously like that. That's the first time I've ever had something like that, and I'm in a kind of dazed state now after having that experience. That was cool. Like that, I've done stuff, but like that was like intense, and I've never ever had something like take me over to that extent. Like, it just kind of kicked in when I was in the middle of watching this. No, I'm definitely not going to worry about portals. Portals, like, I can usually sense where those are and just kind of avoid them or open them up myself. Like, I know how to handle that level of energy coming in.
Hello, my name is Christine. I'm from Wisconsin. My question is, if I'm struggling with some of my personal relationships that I have with others, does that mean that there's beliefs that I need to identify and redefine? Or does that mean those people I am repelling?
I love that I had that directly on screen with everyone watching, because it kind of validates that I like can have those experiences.
And need to consider removing from my life. Thanks.
Well, you'll have to make that determination because it could be either. So you have to have the discernment to be able to tell the difference.
Hi, Nani. Hi.
Speak up, speak up.
Dear Bashar,
Right?
I see you
Spacing
as
up.
I see you.
Good
As
day.
soon as I just want to tell you how much I love you, and
All
how
right.
much I have so gratitude and appreciation to your presence at my moment.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
Thank you so much, and I can't stop crying. So please forgive me.
He doesn't need to be praised. He just asked the question.
Oh, there is nothing to forgive.
Yeah.
So, dear Bashar, my name is Bita. I'm Persian. This team born as a Persian. And I just want to at this moment tell you how much I have appreciation, because as soon as I called you, you came to my dreams. All this time, I've seen your ship, I've seen your presence, I see Mr. The Real that present in front of me.
All right. Do you have a question or are you just sharing your appreciation?
I have a
little bit of both.
Questions. My question is, dear Bashar, I do have a moment that my body, my soul, and my spirit always they are aligned within each other. I feel the tons of energy within me.
I'll see you next
How
time,
can I
Sarah.
make this as a bliss? How can I use that energy? Because
Be of service.
Sarah or anyone else watching this is going to be up on my channel. So I'd love to keep talking to you guys. Just know this will be up on my channel, so you can watch it whenever you need to finish it out. But it's good having you on stream, and I'm looking forward to more of these. Let's keep going for a few more minutes. I'm gonna finish this half of the transmission, and then I'm gonna finish the stream. So
Be of service to others. Follow your passion. Be creative. Use your imagination. Follow the formula we've shared with all of you. That's how you channel all the energy that is aligning within you. Just follow the formula. That's the instruction manual. So how can you be of service to humanity? Use your imagination. Go and act.
thank you.
Yes. It's not very complicated.
It is absolutely true. It is absolutely true.
All right. Then that's all you need to do.
Sometimes being as an, I actually doing in an action, I really looking for my passion and my excitement. My excitement is channeling. My excitement is seeing my
channeling can come through in many forms. It doesn't have to just be vocal channeling. Like just doing art or doing anything that excites you is channeling. Like channeling is, yeah, that's, yeah.
Star's family. I've been asking and begging for this.
No, you don't need to beg. You do not need to beg.
Begging is also a horrible place to come from when you're actually, if you want an experience like what I just had.
Everything happens in perfect timing. Just go and take the actions and serve others, and all the information and all the experience you need will come to you in perfect timing. You don't need to beg. You just need to act.
Action is the language of physical reality.
That's it. Don't look for your passion. Act on your passion in whatever way it comes to you, even on simple things. Just do the action. Everything else will take care of itself.
I have another question.
Yes.
How can I make my son, my child, to be also connected as a light being?
You can't make anyone do anything.
Your child is connected. What do you mean? How do you make him connected? Everyone is connected.
Yep.
You can help him become aware of his connection, if that's what you mean, by again being a living example.
Mm-hmm.
Let it rub off. Let the vibration rub off. Again, for children, how old is the child?
He's 4.5.
All right.
Also, don't make it so they feel like they have to forget those things. Like, as we go through this shift longer, it's going to become more natural for everyone to actually just be that way anyways, but don't make them feel like they have to forget those things.
So again, use your creativity and imagination to provide a safe space and create situations that help him learn how to make choices and how to allow him to be responsible for the consequences of the choices he makes in a safe way before testing it out on the world. Find his passion, adapt the lessons you think he needs to learn to live on Earth to his excitement. Don't squash his excitement into the lesson. So you need to be imaginative enough and creative enough to allow him to know he is as powerful as he needs to be to attract whatever he needs in life without having to hurt himself or anyone else in order to attract it.
I have written a couple books that are children's stories that teach the things that Bashar actually writes or talks about. And this is actually one that had to do with the porcupine. If you go on my channel and find, I will actually try to put the link in the description for this specific story talking about it. It's a children's story that's just a little video of it's a bedtime story that tells the story of a porcupine that lives Shavai, who's on his path. And like, if you guys are interested in actually watching the video, I'd be more than happy to share it. Let me know. But the porcupine's the best teacher of, God, why am I, but Shivai, like it's the concept of Shivai. I would love for. It's up on my channel. Anyways. And if you guys are interested, let me see if I can bring that my Sasani counterpart back through here in a few minutes after this person asks questions, because I want to see if I can have that come back through so I can just kind of like, because that was really cool. I don't think I could hold that connection for very long at this point. So if you guys are interested in having me like have that person come back through, I would be more than happy to, but like let's finish the question.
And allow him to learn that there are consequences to every choice so that he can make positive choices with positive consequences, and to be of service to others will be of service to him. Teaching a child these things will allow them to grow into a responsible, creative, intelligent, loving, creative adult. All right?
All right, dear Bashar. Can I ask you another question?
Well, that was a question. You don't have to ask if you can ask. Just ask.
Thank you. I always wondered how the universe can expand it in the nothing. What is actually the energy? Is that the love that makes the universe expand by itself?
In a sense, the vibration you call unconditional love is the vibrational frequency of existence itself. Remember that expansion and change and time and space are creations within existence. Existence is not subject to them. Therefore, the idea of infinity is simply existence's natural state. So expansion within existence is simply a physical reflection of the fact that existence is everywhere, is everything.
Beautiful.
Our unconditional love to you.
I think I'm going to finish this here because I'm kind of in a dazed state after that. Like, that was fantastic, and I need more practice at getting that to come through. So before we go any further, and I want you guys to think of like one question each for the few people that are still on here. Let me put your question in the chat, and I will see if I can't bring it back through, but I think that was a starting thing to actually... I don't know how to bring that back through. That was cool. But please put one question. I don't know how many of these I can actually answer because I can only maintain that connection for a short time. Dang. That was intense. And I don't think my dog's going to allow me to actually stay in that state. But I will do the other half of this transmission tomorrow if I can help it. If I don't have anything else going on. But yeah, no, if you guys would like to watch the rest of this, I will be putting it up tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that connection again at the moment. How about this? Let's all come back tomorrow. We'll watch the other half of this transmission tomorrow, and I want you guys to think up a question that you would like to ask Ethan when they come through. That was really cool. I'm going to be kind of in a dazed state for the rest of the night. So I love you all. I don't think I have it in... I'm just gonna say this. So typically, anyone who's drawn to this material or drawn to Bashar's material, we all have hybrid children. Pretty simple. Like, the answer is usually yes. Like, I can't give you numbers or anything like that because I'm not on that side of things. But like let's. I want you guys to come back with some questions tomorrow, and I will try to bring that through and establish that connection again. But just in that moment, it just kind of took over. I do not think I'm mentally able to just stay in this state to watch the last 10 minutes of this right now. So, yeah, no, I would love to sit here and talk to you guys tomorrow and allow that to come back through. Aveo, and I love you guys, and I will talk to you I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Evening.